Well, welcome and good evening, wonderful dice of all alignments. I am Lunar D8. This is Let's Play ChaosHeadNoah. The first melt ended with better results than
G
expected.
レートの上昇率は当初の予測からわずかな誤差があった程度です。
The increase in the GE rate showed only a minor deviation from initial
バイオリ
projections.
ズムコントロールも順調
The
なんだ
biorhythm
ね。
control was going well, too.
渋谷の G レートは他
Shibuya
のエリ
G's
アと比
rate
べて
is
高
higher
い
than
値を
other
持っている
areas,
と同時に
and it's especially
安定
stable.
それゆえに意図的に
So
操
that makes
作
it
しや
easier
す
to
いということ
manipulate.
か。
And in addition,
そして
to
渋谷
drastically
にいる
raise
人
the
々の
people
バイオ
of
リズムを
Shibuya's
急激に引き上げ
biorhythms.
実験結果についてはレポートをご参照く
Please
だ
see
さ
the
い。
report for the results of our
納得してい
experiments.
ただける成
You'll
果
be
を上げており
satisfied,
ま
I'm
す。
sure.
貴様が成果を出すのは当然だ。そのために高い金と多くの人材
It's
を
only
提供
natural
して
that
い
you
るの
deliver
だからな。
results, given the amount of money and manpower we're offering you.
実効性につい
I
ては理
understand
解
its
しているよ。
effectiveness well.
こ
My
の数
church
ヶ
has
月だけで
found
も
its believers
我が
growing
会の信者が数倍に膨れ上がっているからね。
それではプロジェクトノアは次の段階へと進ませます。
Will that be all right?
よろしい。
コードサンプルの件はどうするのだ。
What about
す
the
でに
code
3人
sample?
分は確保し
We've
たと
secured
はい
3
え、
people,
目標数
but we're
値には
not
達し
at
て
the
おらん
target
では
number,
ないか。
are we?
いかにも
Indeed.
数値達
We
成の
need
ためには
a
最低で
minimum
も
of
5人分はなけれ
5.
ば厳しい。
サンプル保持者は集まりつつあります。
The sample holders are
あとは
steadily gathering.
採取
All that's
するのみ
left is to take them when we need
な
them.
らばその件は任せる。
I'll leave it in your hands then.
信仰の救いや
May the divine light see
くれぐれ
us.
も慎重に
Go
こと
about
を
your
進めるよ
efforts
うに。
with the utmost caution.
はい、
Yes,
心得ております。
I am aware. Phew. I think it's
そ
time
ろそろ
to
寝る
sleep.
か。
We did have a busy day. I bit back a yawn and looked over at my PC's block. It was showing 5 a.m. I'd spent the whole night grinding in ESO, and hadn't gotten a rare item I wanted. 8 hours of work and nothing. Well, it happened a lot. I looked over to the side of my computer desk. The D sword I'd bought yesterday was still there. It was close enough that I could grab it at any time. It hadn't glowed at all for what it was worth. I was hoping that at some point it would transform to an awesome weapon like the one Santa had. On the monitor, Graham's avatar had just leveled up. My Nahart was max level, so he wouldn't level up again. As I rubbed my tired eyes, I wondered if it was time to make a third character. After Liz looked, I found myself thinking about experience points. They were something you saw a lot in video games, but the way I saw it, there were experience points in the real world too. When I'd started ESO, I'd been complete clueless newbie, but now I was Baselar's most famous lightning-fast Nightheart, the game's ultimate warrior. So, for instance, was it possible that some of the person inside me's experience points had been reset somehow? Maybe that's why I'd forgotten things I should have known. Maybe that's where the weird inconsistencies in my memories had come from. Like with Shogun, or the Demon Girl. Before I'd lost my experience points, I, that is, the person inside me, had used the nickname Shogun in chat. Maybe the Demon Girl Rimi had been a big part of my life too, and I wasn't a friendless otaku. No, that was going too far. But maybe before, I'd had some kind of incredible power that would have let me fight the Demon Girl. I wondered if I was the only person who could come up with an idea like this. Not that it really seemed that strange to me. Humans could only ever judge things by standards they created for themselves. Did that mean it was possible that I, not just me, but everybody else in the world was wrong about everything? When I was little, I'd gone to the dentist and they said to me, "You did a great job not crying when it hurts so much." Back then, I'd felt kind of proud for enduring the pain, like I'd done something special. But looking back, they were probably judging how much pain I was in by looking at how bad the cavity was. But maybe the same level of pain was really bad for some people, and not so much for others. Maybe the way people felt things or sensed things was totally different. Take giving birth, for instance. I'd seen a lot of people online, for instance, saying that women could handle the pain, but men couldn't. Or what about marathon runners? Maybe what made them special wasn't their stamina, but the way they could endure pain. Or maybe the S&M, some people enjoying receiving pain, and some people enjoyed giving it. Maybe everybody had different ways of experiencing their senses, and different levels that they could endure. Maybe the toothaches and headaches that I sometimes had to put up with were a level of pain beyond what an ordinary person could handle. And if I could pass that pain to them somehow, they'd die on the spot from shock. All this speculation left me with the selfish delusion that I was somehow special.
特殊な人間か。っていうか、
So I'm special, huh? Ah, nah, no way. I denied it, but I'm sure it was a delusion everybody shared. Every man wants to be the strongest in the world. Everybody wants to think they're special, chosen. I'm pretty sure the Baki the Grappler anime starts with that line right before the music hits. They want to believe a dramatic future filled with adventure is waiting for them, like on TV or in movies. I mean, everyone wants to feel that they actually matter. The desire to be a hero, I guess you could call it. It was childish, really, of course. I had that same desire. Maybe it was my destiny in life to defeat the demon girl. Of course, if someone actually told me to do it, I'd have several conditions. I'd need cheat codes, obviously, like God mode, for one thing, or invincibility. I didn't want to be scared or get hurt. If I couldn't have that, in other words, if I had to do it right now, I would absolutely refuse, which meant that if the person inside me's experience points had been reset, I might be at a big disadvantage. I was almost late today. Maybe staying up till dawn to play games before school was a mistake. I had to run to make it in time. When I arrived outside my classroom, I paused to catch my breath. I didn't want to do anything to attract attention from my classmates. Being late was a potential fatal mistake. If any DQNs took an interest in me, my life was over. I slowly walked into the classroom, my head pointed toward the ground and avoided looking at anyone. Of course, I didn't give anyone a cheery good morning. I tried to make myself as invisible as possible as I headed to my seat. That was how I always did things. Like usual, I reached my seat without any issues and sat down. I quickly put my head down at the desk. Now I'd be safer for the rest of homeroom, or so I thought until I was lightly tapped on my back. Hey Taku, you came to school 3 whole times this week. You're turning into a teacher's pet. Misumi again, I sighed, but it wouldn't be right to ignore him. I began to raise my head and stopped. Was this Misumi? Really Misumi? 2 days ago I called him like the demon girl had told me, but something had been very wrong. He acted like the demon girl was in our class. That was impossible. Maybe the demon girl had brainwashed him, or maybe he'd become somebody else entirely. Hey, what's wrong? You in sleep mode already? Damn it. A loud electronic noise echoed through the classroom. I felt a slight vibration near my chest. It was my phone. Damn it, why now of all times? What kind of idiot would call at a time like this? And why was it playing the ringtone when I'd set it to vibrate? Maybe I messed up the settings? Hey, your phone's ringing, Taku. I know that. Should I answer now? But if I did, Misumi would know I wasn't asleep and didn't like answering the phone anyway. If I didn't answer, though, it would annoy the rest of the class. Having my phone ringtone drown out the rest of the classroom was bad. I needed to stay invisible. This was really bad. Hey, you're not going to answer, are you? Are you actually asleep? But now I'd missed my chance. I couldn't move. Suddenly, the sound and vibration stopped. It must have gone to voicemail. At least we set up a voicemail. Without a sigh of relief, being careful not to let Misumi hear me. I was so glad I learned how to set up a voicemail. Hey, Taku. Who was that? A girl? It's a girl you were walking home with, isn't it? It is. Right, yeah. Shut up. Actually, this could be useful. Is he going to mention... I'm already attracting too much attention because of the phone call. Please just leave me alone. Was Misumi always this annoying? He was always too friendly, but he hadn't always been this annoying, right? Okay, now I'm definitely not lifting my head. Leave him alone. That voice that was coming from right next to Misumi. Just leave him alone, Daijin. He seems like he's tired. She was in this classroom acting like she belonged here. He was probably up all night playing video games, right? You're too nice to him. Well, you're an enemy to women everywhere, so I'm not nice to you. That's all. She was talking like she belonged here. She was fitting in, like she belonged here. I was too scared to look up. I didn't want to admit the girl was here. Well,
別にお前に優し
even
く
if
し
you're
て
not
もらわ
nice
な
to
くて
me,
も
I know lots of girls who
俺
will
には
be.
優しくしてくれる女は
だから
That's
そういう
exactly
発
what
言
I'm
が良く
talking
ないんだって
about.
ば。
If your
彼女さん
girlfriend
が聞いたら
heard you say
およ
that, she'd cry.
今の大臣の彼女
Not
が
that I
誰
have
だ
an
か
idea
わ
who
か
your
んないけ
girlfriend
ど
is right now, though.
ほらチャイム鳴
Anyway,
った
the bell rang.
先生来
The
るよ
teacher's coming. Had the demon girl really always been my classmate? No, that was impossible. She wasn't here 2 days ago, and Masumi was the only one who talked to me that day, and I hadn't come yesterday. And now she was here today. How had she wormed her way in? As the whole moon chime rang, everyone headed back to their seats. I fearfully looked up, trying to see as much as I could without moving my head. I wanted that voice to be a hallucination. For that to happen, I needed to prove she wasn't in the room. I didn't see her. I didn't see the girl. Maybe it was an hallucination. Maybe she's sitting directly behind me. 9 rows. My seat was in the 5th row. There were 9 rows in all. She wasn't in the seats in front of me. Did that mean she was behind me? If I didn't look back, I couldn't do something that would attract so much attention. Damn it, this was so frustrating. Was she in the room or wasn't she? I didn't feel a prickling on my neck. Nobody was looking at me. I couldn't sense anybody's gaze. Was she here? Was she not here? Which? I stared down at my desk, trying to see if I could see her somehow. Then I heard the sound of the teacher coming into the room. I forgot their name. It was Sukaji or Sukata or something, I think. It was a phys ed teacher, and he was a huge meathead, but he didn't yell or do anything physical punishment either. If anything, he was kind of teacher that could take a joke. There was a mild murmur of surprise going up and down the classroom. Okay. Is our teacher dead? But I was too busy thinking about the demon girl to worry about it. How the hell was I supposed to sense anybody? This wasn't a manga. Was I just stupid?
今日から転校生が入ること
We
に
have,
なった
the sailor person, right? We saw at the lake, like some episodes ago. And we have a transfer student join us today. The teacher spoke, whisper, so that's what the fuss is about.
ほら、折
Go
原
on,
みんなに
Orihara.
挨拶しろ
Introduce yourself. I couldn't hear the transfer student's voice. Was she really here? I took a glance at the front of the room. You look. Sure enough, there was a girl there. She was really tiny. She might have been smaller than Nanami. I mean, yeah, so some people are short. She looked kind of weak and timid, in a moe sort of way. She was pretty cute for a 3D girl. Maybe for some reason there were tears in her eyes, and she was looking down. The class started to murmur louder as it became clear that transfer student wasn't going to say a word. The teacher gave her a reassuring pat on the shoulder.
ああどうやら折原は緊張しているようだな
It seems
よし
Orihara
挨拶はいい
was a little nervous. Alright. We can skip the
みん
introductions.
なこの子は折原梢だ
Everyone,
仲良
this
く
is
してやってく
Kozai
れ
Orihara. Make her feel welcome. I don't know if that's the same person that was burning something in an incinerator or not.
折原席は一番後ろだ席についていいぞ
Or it's like you can sit next to Rimi. The transfer student bowed silently and started to walk toward me. Her seat would be 4 rows behind me. I thought about pretending to follow her with my eyes as she walked so I could look behind her and see what was there. But if I did, I'd stand out a lot. Some DQ might see me and say, "Don't stare at the transfer student just because she's cute." Then they'd try to beat me up. What should I do? Turn around or wait until the whole room ended? My head drooped as I squeezed my fist tightly. It was no good. I didn't have the courage. If I turned around and saw the girl,
この人似てる
this person is like me. I could hear her speak. The transfer student passed by me. The next thing I knew, I was looking up. Why are you holding a giant sword? The transfer student stopped for just a single moment. She walked by my desk. But she didn't look toward me. She was holding what looked like a giant iron plate. Huh? I blinked and it was gone. What was that? Was I seeing
同
things?
じクラスでよかった
I'm glad we're in the same class. You have telepathy? Oh my god. Please ignore all the hentai I think about all the time. Like, my mind's probably not a good place to be. Do 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 do. As I try to awkwardly do the Tetris theme. I'm glad we're in the same class. She quickly passed by my desk. Was she talking to me? Why was she suddenly talking to me? Like me, I'm glad we're in the same class? Had we met before? No, I don't remember her face at all. There was nothing in my past involving a long-forgotten childhood friend either. Nothing out of an H game. Maybe I was finally starting to get popular? Or was the transfer student with the demon girl? If so, the net was closing in on even tighter. It would get harder and harder to run away. Homeroom came to an end. I tried to figure out the answers to the new doubts that were raising within my mind. There were 5 minutes until first period started. Misumi was already on his way to the new girl's desk. He was evidently aiming to start hitting on her on the first day. My other classmates were all curious about her as well. The classroom was a lot noisier than usual. On the surface, it was a peaceful, ordinary day. But to me, it felt like I was in the middle of an enemy camp. My heart was pounding so hard, it wouldn't calm down. My whole body felt tense, and took a lot of courage just to move a single finger. I was fighting the impulse to turn around, with the knowledge that doing so was suicide. Taku? Well, I mean, somebody is addressing us now. Unless we pretend to be asleep while our eyes are open and staring at the fucking wall. My breathing almost stopped. My mind went blank. The voice was right behind me. She was here after all. She's directly in the seat behind me. She was right here. You don't look so good. Are you okay? Run. Run. I tried to, but my legs were shaking too much to stand up. As I sat there frozen, the demon girl Rimi Sakihata came around to my front. You're soaking with sweat. Did you catch a cold? Just like she had 2 days ago, she sounded worried about me, like she had 2 days ago. She offered me a floral-scented handkerchief. I didn't take it. Instead, I wiped the sweat with my own hands. Why? What? I couldn't even look at her. I could hear in her voice that she was smiling, though. Hey, what were you talking about with her? Rimi crouched down and put her hands on the desk, resting her head on them to look at me. She was looking at my face again. I looked away as fast as I could. Was she just not going to let me escape no matter what? My heart was about to burst from fear. Somebody save me. I'm really curious. What was she even talking about? Who was I talking to? The transfer student. She whispered something to you when she passed by your desk. Do you know her? Rimi was still smiling. Was I imagining it? Or did her voice sound like she was interrogating me? I thought you weren't interested in real girls. Were you lying about that? What do you care? Was she trying to find out my personal information so she could threaten me or something? No, it wasn't 3D girls. That was something I'd always clear about. Okay. Are you interested in me? Laughy. Yeah, she did it better than me. A freezing chill ran down my spine. More sweat was pouring down my forehead, even though I just wiped it away. Was that a threat? Or was she telling me to join her? Or was she trying to act moe and seduce me so she could set me up in a trap? Alarm bells were going off in my mind. I couldn't say another word to the demon girl. Or I was doing. Maybe this is like a Kenpachi thing. Like, you know, that lieutenant that was under Kenpachi was actually his sword. And he didn't know. What if Nishijo has a supernatural sword? But what if she is the sword? So it's like a Zanpakuto thing. So she... so the person came out of my own mind and they're a sword, but the sword is sentient and yandere, and I don't know. Huh? Did I pass out? I didn't even think about it. I just leapt out of my chair and ran out of the classroom, tripping over the other students' desks as I went. Okay. I ran straight up the stairs at the school building onto the empty roof. The girl didn't seem to be following me. But still, I couldn't relax. I decided to crouch down behind something. My knees were shaking. I was amazed I managed to run like this, but maybe that was just a sign how desperate I've been. Yay, we're improving our cardio. I couldn't take any more of this reality. Even that D sword I bought turned out to be useless. I couldn't take it to school. It would stand out too much. I'd let my guard down. When Musumi had told me that Rimi was her classmate 2 days ago, I thought it was a lie, or a delusion. But she'd really become a classmate. There was no sense in trying to figure out how she had done it. Was she a demon after all? She could do things that humans couldn't. Maybe she brainwashed the class, maybe even all the teachers. I couldn't go to school. I couldn't go to the hospital. You had been at cafe, and Shogun had found me online. Her servants were getting closer and closer to me, and they were launching constant psychological attacks, too. Maybe I'd do better just to not leave the base. There were too many enemies outside in reality. They were constantly threatening my peaceful life. I looked up at the blue sky, where the white clouds were flying freely, blown by the wind. If only I could be one of those clouds. About 3 hours passed. I spent the whole time silently crouched on the ground. For now, nobody seemed to be following me. Only after that was I able to relax. The problem was, what did I do now? Somebody was sure to come up here to eat lunch. Maybe my best option would be to run out of school and back to the base during 4th period. It would screw up my schedule, but I didn't have anywhere near the courage if I wanted to go back to class with the demon girl waiting. My bag was still there, but I just had to forget about it. The only things in it were my books anyway. My important stuff like my wallet and keys were all in my uniform pocket, right? I got worried and double-checked. Wallet, key, phone, they were all there. All then I remember that someone had called me earlier. It had really freaked me out what had happened. Not as much when Rimi spoke to me, though. Who could it be? The only people who could possibly want to call me would be my family. It was most likely Nanami, right? She didn't care about whether she was bothering me or not. Who else would have that number? Oh, I also told it to those detectives. It was them. Maybe I should have picked up. We never discussed exactly how they were going to send police officers to guard the base. The LCD showed the person number called. Okay. It didn't look like Nanami. I noticed the voicemail too. Was it the same phone call number that we had before? I can't remember. I mean, that one had an X in it as well. So, and Rimi did say she called me before, but I mean, it wouldn't make any sense. I mean, she was in the classroom. Did I recognize that number from somewhere? I decided to check my call history. But what if listening to the voicemail alters reality? What if I listen to the voicemail and then it causes aspects of reality to change? Listening to the voicemail could kill us. There were only 5 calls there. Now, there was only 5 times someone had called me since I bought my phone. 3 of them from Nanami. What about the other 2? There was one from 5 days ago and one just now. Since their numbers wasn't in my contacts, I wasn't sure. Are they the same number though? They were both from the same. Okay, so it's Rimi. That's Rimi's number. They left a message. It must mean that they really wanted to talk to me. Who could it be? The police, most likely? It wasn't Misumi or the demon girl. Both of them were right in front of me when the phone rang. Who else could it be? Maybe Yua? But there was no way she could know my number. There was nothing I had to say to her now anyway. The only way to find out, I had to listen. I looked around to make sure the demon girl wasn't anywhere nearby, and put the phone up to my ear.
こちらは留守番電話サービスセンターです。
Okay.
新しいメッセージは1件です。
Use your voicemail service. You have one new message.
1件目
First
10月
message.
17日
Message left on Friday, October 17th
28
at
分の
8:28
伝
a.m.
言です。
Okay. Hello? Nope, no, this is bad. This is bad. This is bad.
なんぞこれ。
What the heck? What I heard wasn't a voice, it was a melody I knew well. I seemed to be playing somewhere far off in the distance. The caller might have been standing near a traffic light? I heard that melody a lot at crosswalks. But the by no light had changed. Oh, fuck. Didn't our sister say that she heard a noise or something? And that it's not Turiyansi? Is this like a Lavender Town music type song? Like, is listening to this sound gonna make me, like, kill myself? Like, is this, like, music meant to hypnotize people into, or cause depression feelings? Is the music gonna kill me? This is like a Lavender Town thing, isn't it? A lot of people knew the melody, but not many knew lyrics, but probably I knew them for what worth. I learned them in elementary school. I didn't remember them completely, but they went something like this. Pass through, pass through. What narrow path is this? This is the narrow path of Tenjin. Okay. Pushing the A button, nothing's happening. Please let us pass through. None may pass through but have business here. We've come to offer this talisman. Why would you base? For our child's 7th birthday, this going is easy. Okay. Can we please stop listening to this? Hey. Sound like the way back is beep boop, but sound like an ambulance or something. It was probably a coincidence, but still, it was creepy. Fuck. Ow. Wow. Just after the melody cut off, I heard what sounded like a loud buzzer. The volume was so loud, I ate the phone away from my ear. What the hell? I barely put the phone back to my ear, but the message was over. What was that about? It felt like I'd heard Earth rumbling at the end, too. The buzzer was totally different than the traffic signal. If that was loud, they must have brought it to the right up to the phone. A prank call? My heart was racing. Had I done something to piss somebody off? Who'd even made this call? I had their number, so I could call back if I wanted to, but I didn't have the courage. There was nothing I could do about it, and anyway, I was still in the middle of something else, much worse happening to me. I put the phone in my pocket and left school, watching my surroundings as carefully as I possibly could. Takumi Nishio's alma mater, Kitawa Elementary School No. 2, was 5 minutes away from a privately operated train station. Yashicho Ban had the idea talking to his old teacher, but when he called the school, he found they'd passed away. My teacher is dead! Instead, he opted to talk to the person he spoke to on the phone, the current head teacher, and the cameo he and his partner had come to do just that. It was Saturday, school closed. Ban and Suo were standing in front of the school building looking at it. There was a very eye-catching picture drawn on the outer walls. Ban was an artistic type, so it was beyond him what the thing might be. It looked like a spiral, but it changed into 7 different colors from top to bottom, and so it felt kind of like a rainbow. Ban waved his fan as he stared at it. His partner Suo pushed the call button on the gate. Ban suddenly looked around and felt like somebody was watching him. It was an unpleasant, clingy sort of gaze. Am I that cool? He struck a little pose. He looked stylish and cool, he thought.
Senpai, 何変なポーズしてるんすか?
Are you posing like that? It's weird.
裏門の方に通用口があるんで、そっちに回ってくれ。
There's an entrance out back. They've asked us to use. Ban gave up on his pose and sighed. He started to walk. It didn't take long to find the teacher's office. The back gate led to the school's rear entrance, and a turn off the hallway inside took you there. There were, of course, no children inside the school. It may have just been a shiny linoleum, but the air felt cooler than it did outside. There were 3 teachers in the teacher's office. One of them stood up and bowed at the detectives as they entered. His rapidly graying hair was parted, and he had a pleasant smile on his face. This was Kamio. Ben and Suo brought out their IDs at almost the exact same time, giving brief introductions before getting to the point. It was Suo's job to do the talking. We'd like to hear what you can tell us about your former student, Takumi Nishio. I remember him, yes. He wasn't in my class, so I can't tell you too many details. Will that be all right? Suo nodded and opened his notebook to start taking down a memo. What kind of kid was Nishio? He was difficult, I'm told. Special. Special. He had a certain illness that would normally make it very difficult for him to mix with the other students. How specifically? I'm not sure if it's okay for me to say. Would you please ask his family or his doctor? Almost all the school were like these this day. They didn't want any trouble. They'd refused to do anything that could result in an angry phone call from the parent. It made the cops' jobs a lot harder. What happened to his teacher? An accident
遠足の最
during a
中
field
乗っ
trip.
て
The
いたバスが
class's
陥没
bus
した道路
was
に
going across a bridge when it collapsed. Okay, so we weren't talking about my current teacher. We're talking about the one in the school bus.
あ、自分それ知ってるっす。
Oh, I remember
ニュース
that.
でやってたっすよね。
It was on the news.
子供たちは怪
The
我をした
kids
だけで
were fortunately
幸い
just
命は助かったのです
None of them
が
died, but
斉藤先生だけ
Mr.
が犠
Saito,
牲になってしまい
was
な
not
ん
so
とも
lucky.
やりきれない思いで
It's
す
very unfortunate.
西条君もそ
And
の事
Nishijo
故に
was
巻
hurt
き込
in
まれ
this accident as well? Cameo shook his head
あ
softly
の子は当
He
日
was
欠
absent
席してい
that
て
day
バスには乗っ
and
ていま
didn't
せんで
get
し
on
た
the bus.
欠席の理由は
Why was he absent?
病が悪化したと聞いたような覚えがありますが
I remember hearing that his illness took a sudden turn for the worse. No, my parents told me I couldn't go to the bus. It's not like I was coughing or anything. Not coughing, not sick. Ben vaguely remembered the incident too. He'd seen the media standing outside the house of the one boy who hadn't been injured for days on end, trying to get an interview. The boy had, I mean, obviously, who's going to talk to fucking media reporters? That would be very, very nerve-wracking. I mean, who wants to have, like, ever like, oh, here's 7 different people all staring at one time. Like, okay, that's a little bit much. Can you guys not put me under so much pressure? The boy had never shown himself, however.
あれは
It
悲
was
しい事故だったんです
a
よ
sad accident. For some reason, Kamio repeatedly seemed to put the emphasis on the word accident. How was it not an accident? I mean, yes, I get it. It's not an accident. It's faulty fucking construction. The people who built the bridge either did a bad job, or the people who are supposed to be maintaining the fucking infrastructure. We're having planes start to fall out of the sky in real life now. Like in the past, like, okay, I've been on a plane before. I don't like heights. I didn't feel scared at all. We even had turbulence with storms and stuff. I felt okay. I was sitting window seat, felt perfectly fine. I may be clumsy, but I can't trip so bad I fall out of a fucking airplane. But nowadays, it's like plane travel's getting more dangerous. Planes are falling out of the sky. And like bridges and roads are falling apart. It's like, who is supposed to be maintaining these things? What is going on that everything's like breaking? Having a quick chat with Grim before driving to ESO was becoming a daily routine of mine. We never talked about anything specific. We'd swap information about the latest at-chan threads, or talk about naughty stuff, or our latest favorite manga, or the anime we'd seen the other day. Stuff like that. Oddly enough, we didn't talk much about ESO. We do it more than enough ESO chat when we're playing after this. Have you heard anything about the weird pranks lately? It was just something I heard. I don't know if it's really something people are doing. But like, they played weird noses on your cell phone? Do they say naughty things with a moe voice? LOL. LOL, what kind of H game is that? LOL. I mean, if it was, I'd love to get pranked. LOL. So what kind of whose eyes are those, is it? Damn it, man. Grim kept using that phrase. Instantly I felt sick. The sentence didn't even make sense. Was the phrase funny enough that it had to be forced in everywhere? I didn't think so, at least. If anything, it was stupid. But I couldn't start an argument until I asked him about the prank. I decided to just put up with it for now. Like the sound of some nasty otaku jerking it, LOL? That would be awful. Actually, it's Toriyan's. Toriyan's, that's a song, right? The one they play at Crosswalks. Yep. And then suddenly it changes to this buzz noise. And it's really, really loud. Like, maybe it was like a car honking. You ever heard of a prank like that? I mean, it sounds like something at-channers would do. Strange noise had been left on my phone yesterday. I didn't know who was behind it, and it was pretty unnerving. So I decided to try and ask Rib. If it was just a prank, I could forget about it. Huh? Why wasn't Grim responding? Did he get one too? Is he dead? Hello? Did you die? Fall asleep? There was no answer. It was rare for Grim to pass out on me during a chat. It was never happened before, actually. I mean, we are getting older. But if it happened, it happened. I'd see him at ESO later. I talked to him, but just so I was had to get up off my seat. Back. I ran a search on 8chan about the prank you're talking about. Oh, thank you. You were actually trying to help me. Thank you. Oh, was that what he's up to? But that would mean that even Grim didn't know about it, and he usually knew everything. Nobody was talking about it, though. Not just on 8chan, but the rest of the internet. So it must be somebody who had a personal grudge against me then? I was starting to get really curious about who it could be, but I didn't have the courage to call them back. Okay, we at least already know the cops. So here's the thing. We call up Mr. Band Dude, and we're like, hey man, someone left a weird voicemail for me. Maybe you could like reverse triangulate it and find out who the fuck called me. So I think it might be the person that you're after. I suddenly had an idea. If I knew the phone number, I could have somebody else call it for me. But maybe Nanami or Masumi. Those are definitely who say, but no, Masumi was brainwashed Dream Girl. He wasn't a good choice. Nanami was my little sister, so it would be easy to ask her. She'd get really mad later, but maybe we shouldn't get our sister killed? Right, but after that, my problem. It was the least she could do after the bullshit. She might die, though. But then again, the bracelet that's actually a super secret Final Fantasy weapon will activate and save her, so I guess it'll work out. Said thanks, Graham, ended the chat, promised to meet him up later, so my stomach is starting to rumble. I was hungry. Did I have an instant ramen anywhere? I looked, but didn't find any. I'd have no choice but to go to the convenience store. The sun had already set. I would have preferred not to be out at night if I could avoid it. Lately, only bad things have been happening at night. I headed to the convenience store, my feet moving faster than they usually did. It was Saturday, so normally I would have seen a bunch of people on the street. Today, it was empty. All the stores that would usually be open were closed. It was kind of strange. Maybe I'd forgotten what time it was. I thought it was 7 p.m., but maybe it was actually 2 a.m. or something? Nah, no way. Still, it was way too quiet. You couldn't hear any of the noises that you usually hear in the city. The town felt different somehow. Are we unconscious? Did we fall asleep in our chair? I made it to the convenience store in front of Shinsen Station. Even the people around the station was completely devoid of people. It was starting to get more like a little scared. When something that you expect to be there suddenly vanishes, it makes you feel like you've been sucked into a strange other world. Normally, I avoided any interaction with other people, but today I longed to see somebody's face. I ran to the convenience store. There should be at least a cashier there, I thought. I looked around. He's probably in the bathroom. Most convenience stores only have one person on staff at a time, so he either had to take a shit, or he's restocking a shelf somewhere. There was nobody. No customers, no employees. No way.
Masaka.
That was impossible, right? The cashier must be in the back. If I took my stuff up at the register, they'd come out right away. I forced myself to take my time picking out a boxed meal in the refrigerated section. I even pretended to look at the manga magazines before I finally put my meal on the counter next to the cash register. Nobody came out from the back. I looked around. Still, nobody came out from the back. I took my wallet and checked how much change I had on me. Nevertheless, nobody came out from the back. I picked up the box meal and made a little noise with it before placing it back down. But nobody came out. But nobody came. But nobody came out from the back. I didn't have the courage to say anything, even if there was nobody here. Even so, nobody came. I thought about trying to leave without paying, but I decided I couldn't take the risk that might end get arrested. Regardless, nobody came. The cashier must just be taking the garbage out. Again, but nobody came. Or maybe they were taking inventory or something. And yet, but nobody came. I finally got so scared I just put the thing back on the shelf and left. I came to the railway crossing right next to the station. I could see the Shinsen station platform clearly from here. There was no way the station platform could be empty. I told myself it was just impossible. But of course, but nobody came. There was nobody there. I decided to wait for a train to come. If a train stopped at the station, people would surely get off. And even if nobody did, I could see somebody in the train as it went past. I I waited 10 minutes and there was no sign of any train. I tried to tell myself that there might have been an accident or something that had thrown the schedule off, but there still wasn't a single person on the platform. Only then did I realize the seriousness of the situation. It didn't make any sense. This wasn't right. I decided to head to Shibuya Station. There was always somebody there. I was sure of it. There around Shibuya Station was always busy 24 hours a day. I couldn't take the fear anymore, so I started to run. I ran as fast as I could. Even when I started running out of breath, I still didn't stop. I wasn't sure if I'd ever run so hard in my entire life. As I ran, I wished this was all just some awful dream, but it wasn't. My heart and lungs were in so much pain, I thought they'd explode. There was no way this pain could just be a dream. I was surprised at how intense my breathing was, but no matter how much air I took in, the pain didn't go away. I headed down Donkansaka Hill and finally got within sight of the 107 building. By that point, my legs were barely moving. My body felt incredibly heavy, but I forced my legs to move forward. I didn't even have the strength left for looking around me. My entire consciousness was focused on getting me to Scramble Crossing, the symbol of Shibuya. Almost there, just a bit more. I decided to make past 107. Then I'd be in the busiest place in Japan, the place where everybody mixes together. That's why it's called Scramble. Scramble. Yeah. This is not normal. Empty. The whole of Scramble Crossing and Shibuya Station were empty. A world without sound, a world that was dead. The air around the crossing was always filled with a flood of sound, but today it was ruled by a silence. All I could hear was the sound of my own panting. Impossible. I fell to my knees in the middle of the wide road. I couldn't take another step, but more than that, the shock had drained all the strength of my body. This is Shibuya, right? There was nobody to my left and nobody right or back. Or front anyway. It was the busiest time of the week, 7 p.m. on a Saturday. What was going on here? This couldn't be happening. I closed my eyes and put my hands up to my head. This was a dream, an illusion. It couldn't be real. Sure, I thought I'd wanted to live a quiet... We're probably just asleep. All by myself. I didn't want to get caught up in anything that had anyone meddle my plans. But that didn't mean I wanted to be the only person in the world. If there were no other people, who was going to pay my living expenses? If there were no other people, who was going to make my meals I got from the convenience store? If there were no other people, who was going to play ESO with me? If there were no other people... I heard a noise. It's probably the Rimi girl. Sound. I heard a sound. It wasn't me. It was a sound someone else made. Someone was here. Someone else was close. I felt saved. It was just random chance that the crossing looked empty. Nobody had actually appeared. I hadn't been left alone in the world. I was almost ready to cry from sheer relief. I turned toward the sound. It's a person in a wheelchair. That's unexpected, but okay. Who are you? It was a boy in a wheelchair. He was silently sitting there some distance from me, but still in the middle of the road. It was hard to figure out how old he was. If I went just off his height, I would have thought he was in elementary school. He had a hat pulled down over his eyes, making it hard to make out his face. But we finally meet. The boy's voice was strangely clear. It was as if it was being whispered in my ear. I actually found myself turning around to check to see if someone was behind me. But of course, nobody was. Okay, so you have telepathy. Okay. Yeah, what's going on here, man? I asked him. Why isn't anybody else here? Do you know why? I do. His voice sounded young, but not like a child's. But more importantly, did you get my message? Message? Okay, so you're the one who called me. Message? Or are you Shogun? Are you Grim? I didn't know what he was talking about. Who? Who are you? His wheelchair advanced forward, wheels turning just a little. It must have been an old wheelchair because it made a rusty creaking sound as it went. Whose eyes are those? Right? I wasn't sure what to think. Why had this boy suddenly said whose eyes are those to me? Right here, right now. Who was he? Wake up soon. Otherwise, even more people will die. Who are you? I rubbed my eyes, wiping away my tears. Only then could I finally see his face. Is he me? Is it my face? Is this me as a really old person? Why am I seeing myself as 90-year-old dying of cancer version of myself? Why is me watching me? The boy wasn't a boy. His face was wrinkly like an old man. His cheeks were caved in, his eyes sank deep into his skull. The white, cloudy, and he had no eyebrows. Yet his body was as tiny as a child. I'm Shogun. For a moment, I forgot to breathe. My head felt like it had been hit by a hammer. The ground seemed to shake. No, it was my body that was shaking. I put a hand on the asphalt to support myself. What had he just said? Shogun. This was Shogun? Don't forget. You mustn't run. I looked up and saw that Shogun had already turned away from me. His wheelchair was creaking as he slowly disappeared. It didn't even occur to me to try and follow him or ask more questions. Or to punch him in the face for getting caught up in this. I wasn't any good at any of this. We should definitely look up the rest of the pictures he sent us. Also, we do have his contact. We could just... No, it's a chat room, but still. My head was shaking, starting to hurt. I felt an aching in my temples. I stayed on the ground, trying to endure the pain. Hi? Taku. The silent world around me began to fill with static. Who was that voice? Hello? Don't look at me. Taku. The static began to change into a voice. Somebody was putting their hand gently on my shoulder. Get out of the way. What's his problem? Kids these days. What is happening? Some kind of street performance? Taku. I looked up, still reeling from the headache. Hello? Demon girl. Rimi was leaning over me and looking down in my eyes. Her eyes were clear and filled with life. Those eyes stared at me, and only me. Again. Once again, she'd shown up out of nowhere. Can you walk? Come on. She put her hands under my arms and tried to help me up. I screamed and pushed her away. Then I came to my senses and looked around. I was still in the middle of the road, but I wasn't alone anymore. There were people all around me, walking past me without the slightest bit of interest. Rimi seemed like she was about to cry. She looked at me. For now, just listen to me. So stay away from me. I screamed, the aching in my head turning into a stabbing pain. I tried to fight through the pain and crawl away from her, to put as much distance between her and me as possible. It's you, right? You made me see that. It was your delusion. You controlled my mind. You did some kind of mental attack. You demon. I'll kill you with my sword. You can just get back to the base. You got a D sword? Hello? We are still in the middle of the street, though. I felt a sudden shock on my cheek. I stung and started to feel hot. Rimi had slapped me. This time, she was going to kill me. I tried to crawl away as fast as I could, but Rimi easily grabbed my hand. She pulled me close with a strength that was hard to believe a girl could have. And held me tight. Yay, hugs. Music's nice.